Hey, it's me, Bad B. I'm back. I thought I would talk about my port placement surgery. So my oncologist said, AC is just really damaging to the veins, and because my veins aren't really good, it would be safer to put a port in. And I was really nervous because I really hate pain. But my oncologist said, oh, don't worry, you'll be sedated. And I was like, oh, thank God. And I was like, I'll be asleep, right? I was not asleep. So you have to fast the night before. So you can't eat from midnight the night before, and you can't drink water from 5 a.m. And I was scheduled to go in there at 7:30 in the morning. So I did. And I had to get chemo the next day, because usually if they give you a port, your chemo just gets moved up to the next day, and they just leave the needle in from the surgery. Everyone was really nice. Like, the anesthesiologist was nice, surgeon was nice, all the nurses were lovely. You change, they take all your vitals. I had to get blood taken because chemo was the next day. The anesthesiologist did that for me. I went in, I kind of just started to feel drowsy, and I don't think I fell asleep, but I guess I did, because I was wearing glasses and a mask when I went in, and when I sort of came to, I wasn't wearing them. I could hear what was going on and everything, and I felt sort of like pressure and like pushing and pulling. And usually the port is on the right side, but my tumor's on the right side. So they were like, okay, we don't want to jeopardize any surgery, so we're going to put the port on the left side, even though like almost all ports are on the right. But yeah, I woke up and they were like, okay, you have to switch over to this bed. So I just like lifted myself over, and then they wheeled me out, and then I had to stay there for about 2 hours after the surgery. It was really nice because they were like, oh, do you want anything to eat? And I was like, oh, maybe just some water. Like, my mouth felt really dry and gross. And then they gave me a sandwich, and it was a good sandwich, but like, I have really low blood pressure, and they kept trying to take my blood pressure, and they're like, the machine doesn't like it because it's under 100. And I was like, it's always under 100. And they're like, what is it usually about? And I'm like, 91, 92. And they were like, oh, okay then. Because yeah, it was about that, but I think it got its floor was 87. So I stayed there for about a couple of hours. I was fine. Like, I got changed, was totally okay, came back, and they were like, just take it easy for the rest of the day. And it started to hurt at about, I say I got home at about midday. Started to hurt at about 2ish, and yeah, it was really bad. And I took Panadol, but I thought it was like, 3 times a day. But the next day I went to chemo, I was like, yeah, it still hurts. Like, my shoulder hurt, like my collarbone hurt. The nurse said they inject gas in to get like a better view. So until the gas dissipates, it's gonna hurt. She's just like, yeah, Panadol every 4 hours. And like, I looked, so the cannula they gave me in Japan is 300 milligrams. And they're like, take 1 3 times a day every time you feel pain. Okay, take Panadol. I looked at the Panadol, it's 500 milligrams, and you're supposed to take 2 every 4 hours. So I was just like, whoa, the dosage is crazy low in Japan. Like, no wonder it didn't work ever. It's been about a week since my port surgery. It was kind of like the next day when she was changing the dressing, it kind of hurt and was a bit tender. But otherwise, chemo just didn't feel it. And when she took the needle out, like, she was pulling something really hard out. Didn't hurt though, it was just a surprise. So she's like, take a deep breath in. So I did, and she was just like, and I was like, oh, yeah. It was a bit funny. But yeah, since then, kind of hurt, I guess, but not too bad. So chemo was Wednesday. Then Thursday I saw my best friend, so I didn't really do much except have lunch. Friday I decided to go to work and sub, and I thought, I'm just gonna be walking around and like standing, it should be all right. But I was in so much pain. Yeah, I really shouldn't have gone to work on Friday. And then I got my period, which I hadn't since April, so something's definitely not. I think I took too long of a break between chemo, but then I had COVID and I had to come to Australia, so it was just a giant kind of mess. Anyway, still have it. It's just not something I want to be dealing with right now, I guess. But hopefully chemo with the port is way better on Thursday, but there's supposed to be a numbing cream. I haven't gotten the numbing cream yet, but all my chemo friends say that I should put it on an hour beforehand, but then the nurses say half an hour beforehand, so I'm really not sure which one, but I'm really, really nervous. I hate pain so much, and it's still kind of tender. I'm starting to get more mobility, and I can, like, last night was the first night I could lie down properly when I went to bed. Like, before that I kind of had to be propped up because it just hurt. But yeah, hopefully I can get the numbing cream tomorrow when I see my oncologist. Yeah, but otherwise chemo was really good with it because the needle was already in, so they just kind of had to connect it through. But yeah, so before chemo, they didn't give this to me beforehand. They gave me, I don't know what it was called, dimethazone or something like that. And they were like, oh, it's like an anti-nausea medication. I was like, oh, okay. But like, I took the meds, like the pills beforehand, so I don't know why I had to have that as well. And then the nurse is like, I'm gonna do it really slowly because otherwise you get a burning bum. And I was like, what? And then she's like, yeah, you get a burning bum. And I was like, she's like, is it burning? I'm like, no. But then my back, like my actual back, started to feel really itchy, and I was like, is it supposed to go all the way up there? And she's like, no. And then so I scratched it, and she's like, tell me when it goes away. And I was like, no, it's fine now. But yeah, I don't know if it was like psychosomatic. I am hypochondriacal though. Anyway, yeah, port went well. Let me just, I don't know if you can see it. Ugh. You can see it's like kind of a bit bruised, and it goes up to like my collarbone. I don't know if it's because I'm really bumpy that it's still kind of tender there. But yeah, the dissolving stitches apparently looks really good. So when they took off everything, the nurses, they just like came in, they're like, yeah, it looks really good. And I was like, oh, cool. And I'm like, I'm just going to check it out and see what it looks like. So I used my phone, and I was like, oh my God. Because it was just like all bloody and bruised. I mean, obviously it was surgery. But yeah, we'll see what my doctor says tomorrow. And then I start AC on Thursday. So pretty scared about that. At least there's fewer of them. Stay tuned. And sorry if the sound is really bad. I broke my microphone. I'm getting a new one, but for now it's broken.